My name is Ethan Caldwell, and for 3 years, I thought I had the perfect marriage with Clara Monroe, the pride of Harborview, a small coastal town where the ocean was both livelihood and legend. Clara wasn't just any swimmer. She was a local hero with a trophy case full of medals from state championships and a reputation for slicing through the toughest currents like a blade. Her grace in the water was mesmerizing, and I fell for her the moment I saw her dive off the pier during a summer festival, her form cutting the waves with effortless precision. I was a logistics manager, running a shipping company inherited from my parents, and I prided myself on keeping things steady, on land and in life. But nothing could have prepared me for the day Clara let me drown, both literally and figuratively, for the sake of her high school sweetheart, Ryan Kessler. It was a crisp September afternoon, the kind where the sun glints off the water like shattered glass. Clara's marine biology firm had organized a team-building retreat at the cliffs overlooking Harborview Bay, a jagged stretch of coastline where the waves churned with a restless energy. I wasn't thrilled about the trip. Clara had been distant. Lately, her texts short, her evenings filled with work meetings. But when she mentioned Ryan, her old friend from high school, was joining to network with her colleagues, I felt a familiar knot in my gut. Ryan had always been a shadow in our marriage, his name popping up in casual stories Clara told with a nostalgic glow. I brushed it off, not wanting to be the paranoid husband, and agreed to come along. The cliffs were a popular spot for locals, with a narrow path winding down to a rocky beach. Clara was in her element, showing off for her coworkers by diving into the deep, turbulent water below. Her dives were flawless, each one earning cheers from the group. Ryan and I stood at the edge, watching her surface with a triumphant smile. He clapped, his eyes lingering on her a little too long. "She's something else, isn't she?" he said, his tone smug, like he was staking a claim. I nodded, biting back a retort. Ryan was tall, with the kind of easy charm that made people like him instantly, but I'd always sensed a calculating edge beneath it. He'd moved back to Harborview a year ago, conveniently landing a job at Clara's firm. Since then, he was always around, dropping by our house for work discussions, joining us at dinners, always finding ways to remind me of their shared past. The wind picked up, and the group started packing up. Clara climbed back up the cliff, her wetsuit glistening, her laughter bright as she recounted her latest dive. Ryan and I lingered near the edge, waiting for her to join us. That's when it happened. Ryan stumbled, or so he claimed, his foot slipping on the wet rock. He flailed, grabbing at the air, and plummeted into the water below. Instinct kicked in. I lunged to catch him, my fingers brushing his jacket, but the momentum pulled me over the edge too. The water hit me like a wall of ice. The current was stronger than I'd expected, dragging me under with a force that felt alive, malicious. I'm a decent swimmer, but nothing like Clara. I kicked hard, breaking the surface, gasping for air. Salt water stung my eyes as I scanned for Ryan. He was thrashing a few yards away, his face pale with panic. "Clara!" I shouted, my voice hoarse against the wind. I waved, my arms heavy, expecting her to swim toward me, her husband, the man she'd vowed to love. But Clara's eyes locked onto Ryan. Her expression hardened with focus, the same look she got before a championship dive. She plunged into the water, her strokes powerful and precise. Cutting through the waves like a shark, she reached Ryan in seconds, hooking her arm around his chest and towing him toward the shore. I watched, my heart sinking faster than my body, as she hauled him onto the rocks. He coughed, clutching her arm, while she knelt beside him, her hands gentle, her voice soft. "Ryan, you okay? What happened? Did you slip?" I was still in the water, my limbs growing numb, the current pulling me farther from shore. "Clara!" I yelled again, choking as a wave slammed into me. My strength was fading, my lungs burning with each ragged breath. Ryan, now safe, looked out at me and smirked. "Sorry, Ethan," he called, his voice dripping with mockery. "Clara's too worn out to save you. You'll have to figure it out yourself." Clara didn't even glance my way. She was too busy checking Ryan for injuries, her hands brushing his face, her voice thick with concern. "Ryan, talk to me. Are you hurt?" I sank beneath the surface, the cold wrapping around me like a shroud. My vision blurred. The world, turning dark and muffled. I thought of Clara, my wife, choosing him over me. The betrayal stung worse than the salt water flooding my lungs. Just as my strength gave out, a pair of strong arms yanked me upward. A stranger, a hiker who'd been watching from the cliff, had jumped in after me. He dragged me to the rocky beach, my body limp, my chest heaving as I coughed up water. I collapsed, shivering, my vision swimming. The hiker, a burly man with a beard, muttered something about calling for help, but I barely heard him. My eyes were fixed on Clara. She finally looked at me, but there was no relief in her gaze, only contempt. She stood, hands on her hips, her wetsuit dripping. "You must have pushed Ryan," she snapped, toweling off his hair like he was a child. "How else did he end up in the water? You know he's terrified of deep water. Why would you do something so cruel, Ethan?" Ryan played along, his tone infuriatingly calm. "It's okay, Clara. Ethan probably didn't mean it. He just got jealous seeing us together." The accusation hit like a punch. I'd tried to save Ryan, and now they were painting me as the villain. My throat was raw, my body too weak to argue. The crowd of co-workers and onlookers murmured, their eyes darting between us, some pitying, others judging. "It's always like this," muttered, my voice barely a whisper. Clara's face twisted with disgust. "You're pathetic, Ethan. You should have drowned out there. You're so insecure you'd rather hurt someone than deal with your own issues." Her words were a blade, slicing through the last threads of my loyalty. Ryan was her first love, the one she never let go of. And no matter what I did, working late to support us, planning romantic getaways, swallowing my pride when she dismissed me, I was always second to him. I'd spent years apologizing for things I didn't do, bowing my head to keep the peace. But lying there, half dead on the rocks, I had an epiphany. Nothing mattered more than my survival. Not Clara's accusations, not Ryan's taunts, not our crumbling marriage. I forced myself to sit up, my voice hoarse but steady. "You two deserve each other. One lies, and the other believes it." Clara's eyes narrowed to slits. "What's that supposed to mean? You're still jealous of Ryan? I've told you 100 times. We're just friends. Stop making drama, Ethan." She grabbed Ryan's arm and stormed off, leaving me shivering on the shore. The crowd dispersed, some casting sympathetic glances, but I didn't care. I watched Clara and Ryan disappear up the cliff path, the weight of 3 years of marriage sinking like an anchor in my chest. The next morning, I woke. In our hotel room, my body racked with fever. The cold water and Clara's betrayal had taken their toll. My head throbbed, my skin burned, and every movement felt like wading through molasses. I was alone. Clara and Ryan had left at dawn for project work, though I suspected it was an excuse to spend time together. Harborview was a small town, and I was a stranger here, with no one to turn to. Desperate, I called Clara. The line connected, and I was hit with a wall of thumping bass and laughter. She was at a beachside bar, the kind with neon lights and overpriced cocktails. "Clara," I croaked, my voice barely audible. "I'm really sick. Can you get me some fever medicine?" Her response was sharp, laced with irritation. "Ethan, seriously? We're busy. You're always pulling this when I'm with Ryan. Stop faking it to ruin my night." Before I could explain, the call cut off. I stared at the phone. disbelief mixing with the fever's haze. She thought I was lying, just like she believed Ryan's lies over my truth. I tried again, hoping she'd soften, but her voice was even colder. "Ethan, enough. You're not sick. You're just jealous. Let me have one night without your drama." The rejection stung, but the fever was worse. I collapsed onto the bed, my vision blurring, the room spinning like the waves that had nearly claimed me. As my consciousness faded, my phone buzzed. It wasn't Clara. It was Sophie Larson, a friend from college I hadn't spoken to in years. We'd been close back then, sharing late-night study sessions and dreams of the future, but life had pulled us apart after graduation. She'd seen my social media post about the trip and sent a cheerful text. "In Harbor View, too. Want to grab dinner?" "Sophie," I rasped when she picked up. "I'm really sick. Can you grab some fever medicine? I'll send you the hotel address." Less than an hour later, Sophie was at my door, her curly hair tied back, her face etched with concern. She handed me a bag of medicine, ibuprofen, electrolyte packets, a thermometer, and sat on the edge of the bed. "Where's Clara?" she asked, her brow furrowing. "Why isn't she taking care of you?" I managed a weak smile, the fever making my words sluggish. "She's out with Ryan. They're working, but it sounds like a party." I told her about the cliff incident, how Clara had chosen Ryan over me, how she'd accused me of pushing him. Sophie's jaw tightened, her green eyes flashing with anger, but she didn't interrupt. She helped me take the medicine, her hands steady, and promised to grab fever patches from a nearby pharmacy. When she returned, she ran into Clara and Ryan in the hotel lobby. Clara, seeing Sophie with my room key, exploded. She kicked open the door, her face a mask of fury. "Who's this, Ethan? You're cheating on me already? With some random woman?" Sophie, never one to back down, squared her shoulders. "I'm his college friend, Clara. I'm here because you wouldn't get him medicine. He's burning up with a 103-degree fever and you're out clubbing with your boyfriend." Clara's face flushed red. "Ryan's not my boyfriend. We're here for work. Ethan, why are you spreading lies?" Her hypocrisy was staggering. She hadn't even checked on me, yet she was accusing me of infidelity. I leaned against the wall, my legs trembling. "Clara, I told you I was sick. You hung up on me twice. Sophie's the only one who cared enough to help. Which part of that is a lie?" She faltered, glaring at Sophie. "Why are you airing our business to strangers?" "Strangers?" I said, my voice weak but firm. "This stranger saved my life today. You haven't even asked how I'm doing." Clara fell silent, her eyes darting to Ryan, who smirked as if this was all a game. He stepped forward, his tone patronizing. "We came back after your call, didn't we? You're making a big deal out of nothing, Ethan." Sophie scoffed, pointing at the shopping bags in their hands. Souvenirs from the bar's gift shop. "That place stays open until 3 a.m. You'd still be there if it hadn't closed." Her words hit like a slap, and Clara and Ryan had no response. I turned to Sophie, grateful but exhausted. "Thanks for everything. It's late. Let me book you a room here for the night." She shook her head, her smile warm but firm. "My cousin's picking me up. Ethan, take care of yourself, and don't let these two walk all over you." She shot Clara a pointed look before leaving. Clara bristled, her hands clenched. "Who does she think she is?" "Enough," I snapped, slamming the door. "Clara, you're embarrassing yourself." The room fell silent, and for the first time, I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes, but it was too late. My trust in her was gone. For the next 3 days, I was confined to the hotel room, my fever spiking and dipping as I fought to recover. Clara and Ryan went out daily, leaving me with nothing but my thoughts and the occasional text from Sophie checking in. I didn't care anymore. On the 4th day, my fever broke, and I felt a spark of energy. I decided to help finish Clara's project survey, a marine habitat study requiring expensive sonar equipment. The sooner it was done, the sooner we could leave Harborview, and I could confront our marriage head-on. The survey site was a dusty lot near the docks, where Clara's team had set up a temporary base. I arrived early, hoping to get a head start, but found Clara and Ryan by the equipment truck, their voices low and urgent. On instinct, I pulled out my phone and hit record, ducking behind a crate. Clara's voice was tense, almost panicked. "The sonar's broken, Ryan. It's worth over $1 million. We can't afford to replace it." Ryan's tone was sly, calculated. "Ethan's family has money, right? His parents own that shipping company. Let's pin it on him. No one will know." My blood ran cold. They were planning to frame me for their mistake, to saddle me with a debt that could ruin me. I stayed hidden, my heart pounding as they continued. "We'll say he mishandled it," Clara said, her voice hesitant but complicit. "He's been so out of it lately, no one will question it." When they emerged from the truck, they froze, seeing me lounging in a camp chair, sipping a coffee I'd grabbed from a nearby stand. "Ethan, when did you get here?" Clara asked, her voice trembling. "Just now," I lied, keeping my tone casual. "Where were you guys? I didn't see you." They exchanged a glance, visibly relieved. Clara forced a smile, her eyes darting nervously. "Feeling better, honey? Can you help with the sonar? It's in the truck's back seat." I nodded, playing the part of the clueless husband. "Sure, show me." Clara pointed to the equipment, a bulky blue machine with a cracked casing, and I caught them high-fiving behind my back. They thought they had me. I pretended to struggle, calling out, "Clara, I can't find it. Where is it?" Her patience snapped, her voice sharp. "It's right there, Ethan. How can you not see it?" "Oh, found it," I said, feigning incompetence. "But it's heavy. Ryan, can you help?" Ryan swaggered over, his smirk infuriating. "You've been hitting the gym, huh? All show, no strength." I shrugged, letting him take the lead. We carried the sonar together, and I waited for his move. Sure enough, he faked a stumble. "Ethan, hold it! I need to fix my shoe." "Ryan, hurry," I said, pretending to strain under the weight. He took his time, tying his laces with exaggerated slowness, clearly hoping I'd drop the machine. When he finally stood, I saw my chance. "My turn," I said. "My laces are loose." I let go, crouching down. Ryan, caught off guard, fumbled the sonar. It crashed to the ground, the casing shattering, wires spilling out like entrails. Clara ran over, her eyes gleaming with triumph. "Ethan, that's $1 million machine. You broke it. You're paying for it." I pointed at Ryan, my voice calm but firm. He dropped it. I told him I couldn't hold it alone, but he let go first. Ryan's face reddened. "No, you let go to tie your shoe. You set me up." "Set you up?" I said, raising an eyebrow. "Like you were planning to set me up? The dash cam on the truck caught everything, Ryan." You nodded when I said I needed to tie my shoe. "Want to check the footage?" Their faces paled, the color draining like water from a broken dam. Clara tried to deflect. "Even if it's broken, you're partly responsible, Ethan. You should have been more careful." "No way," I said, my voice steady. "The cam shows Ryan's negligence. And Clara, you're not blameless. You knew the plan." I turned and walked away, leaving them stunned. "Figure out how to pay for it. I'm done here." I spent the rest of the day walking along the harbor, the salty air clearing my head. I thought about the recording, the proof of their betrayal, and what it meant for our marriage. Clara had crossed a line I couldn't forgive, and Ryan's smugness only fueled my resolve. I wasn't just fighting for my dignity. I was fighting for my life. That afternoon, I drove to the bank, my mind made up. After marrying Clara, I'd given her a supplementary credit card linked to my account, funded by the dividends from my family's shipping business. She'd spent freely, designer clothes, spa weekends, dinners with Ryan, while I never questioned it, thinking it made her happy. But knowing she'd try to use it to bail Ryan out of their $1 million mess, I canceled it. The banker, a middle-aged woman who knew my parents, recognized my name and processed the request immediately. "You're doing the right thing, Mr. Caldwell," she said, her tone kind but knowing. I didn't return to the hotel. Instead, I booked a flight back to Harborview, a 6-hour journey that felt like a lifeline. As soon as I landed, my phone exploded with calls from Clara. I answered one, her voice hysterical. "Ethan, did you cancel my card? That's our marital property. You can't do that." "I did," I said, my voice calm but cold. "And I don't need your permission." "Why? I need it now," she screamed, her desperation palpable. "Sorry, not happening," I replied, my tone light but firm. "Oh, and Clara, come back soon. We're getting a divorce." I hung up before she could respond, her curses echoing in my mind. I went straight to my company's office, a sleek building overlooking the harbor where our ships docked. I instructed security to bar Clara from entering and told the receptionist to call the police if she caused a scene. Then, I drove to our beachfront condo, the place we'd bought together, filled with memories of happier times. I called a locksmith and had the locks changed by dusk. I packed my bags, keeping only what I needed, and booked a month-long trip to New Zealand with my parents. I craved distance, a chance to breathe, to rediscover the man I'd been before. Clara's shadow consumed me. I got a new phone number for business, stashing my old one in a drawer. Out of sight, out of mind. In New Zealand, I hiked through lush rainforests, sailed along fjords, and stood on cliffs not unlike the ones in Harborview. But these felt alive with possibility, not betrayal. Clara had always pushed me to work harder, claiming I wasn't enough, that I couldn't give her the life she deserved. I'd worked myself to the bone, arriving at the office before dawn, staying late to review contracts, all to prove her wrong. But it was never enough. Now, breathing the crisp air of a foreign land, I felt my soul untangle. I laughed with my parents over dinners, shared stories with locals in cozy pubs, and realized how much I'd lost to Clara's demands. My parents sensed trouble but didn't pry. My mother, with her gentle eyes, would touch my arm and say, "You're looking lighter, Ethan." My father, gruff but kind, would nod and pass me another beer. They knew I'd talk when I was ready. For now, I was content to let the world heal me, one breathtaking view at a time. After a month, I returned to Harborview, refreshed but ready to face reality. I reactivated my old phone, expecting the flood of messages. Clara had bombarded my social media, leaving voicemails filled with tears, anger, and accusations. I'd blocked her everywhere, so the messages had piled up unread. I called her, my voice steady. "When are we divorcing?" Her response was a mix of panic and rage. "Ethan, where were you? Ryan's in trouble. He took a loan to pay for the sonar, and now creditors are after him. How could you abandon us?" "Abandon you?" I laughed, the sound bitter. "You left me to drown, Clara. Ryan's mess is his own. Sign the divorce papers or I'm taking the recording to the police." A friend, Mark, filled me in on the past month over coffee at a harborside cafe. After I canceled Clara's card, she'd tried to get money from me directly, but I was gone. She couldn't enter my condo or company, and my friends, knowing the truth, refused to lend her anything. They'd scolded her, calling her out for her betrayal. Ryan, desperate, had borrowed $700,000 from loan sharks to cover the sonar's cost, promising to repay in a month. When he couldn't, the collectors got him fired, tracked him down, and beat him so badly he ended up in the hospital. Clara inexplicably stayed by his side, nursing him while dodging calls from the loan sharks. I met Clara a week later at a park near the harbor. She looked haggard, her once vibrant eyes dull with exhaustion. "Ethan, I'm still your wife," she said, her voice pleading. "You owe me. That card was ours." I played the recording of her and Ryan plotting to frame me. "This isn't just cheating, Clara. You married me for my money, didn't you? Sign the divorce agreement or this goes to the police. You and Ryan could end up in prison." Her face crumbled, tears welling up. "You knew? You set Ryan up." "No," I said, my voice cold. "He tried to frame me, and it backfired. You both deserve this." I handed her the divorce agreement, setting a date for the formalities a month later. She took it, her hands shaking, and walked away without another word. I spent the next few weeks rebuilding my life. I reconnected with old friends, started running along the beach at dawn, and even took up painting, something I'd loved as a kid but abandoned for Clara's sake. I felt like I was waking up from a long, suffocating dream. At a class reunion, Sophie found me, her smile as bright as I remembered from college. We sat in a corner of the crowded bar, reminiscing about late-night study sessions and bad cafeteria food. "I wanted to tell you to leave Clara that night at the hotel," she said, her voice soft but serious. "But you were so in love back then. I didn't want you to regret it." I smiled, grateful for her restraint. I was blind back, then chasing someone who didn't deserve it. But I'm free now. She grinned, her eyes warm. "There's time, Ethan. No rush." A month later, Clara and I met at the Civil Affairs Bureau to finalize the divorce. She'd dressed up, her hair styled, her makeup flawless, as if trying to remind me of what I was losing. But I felt nothing. No regret, no longing, just relief. "Let's get this done," I said, my voice steady. She hesitated, stepping closer. "No regrets, Ethan?" "We could try again. We had good times." I pushed her away, my tone firm. "You crossed every line, Clara. You chose Ryan over me, left me to drown, and tried to frame me. We're done." We completed the paperwork quickly, and I felt a weight lift as I held the divorce certificate. It was over. Outside, Clara followed me to my car, her voice syrupy. "Can you give me a ride? It was a peaceful divorce, right?" "No," I said, texting Sophie about dinner. We'd planned to meet now that she was in town for a conference. Clara saw the message and snapped. "Already moving on? You're disgusting, Ethan." "Better than you moving on before we were done," I shot back, my patience gone. Suddenly, Ryan's voice cut through the air, raw with rage. "Ethan, you ruined my life." I turned, but I was too slow. He lunged, a knife gleaming in his hand. I twisted, but the blade sank into my shoulder, pain exploding like fire. Blood poured as I collapsed, the world tilting. Ryan fled, and Clara screamed, but she didn't help. She just stood there, frozen. Bureau staff rushed out, calling an ambulance. As I faded, I grabbed a paramedic's hand. "Ryan did it. Clara's involved." I woke in the hospital, my shoulder throbbing, the sterile smell of antiseptic sharp in my nose. Sophie was beside me, her hand clasped around mine, her face pale but relieved. "You're awake," she said, tears in her eyes. She called the doctor, who explained that Ryan's knife had missed my heart by inches. I'd lost a lot of blood, and the wound would take weeks to heal. But I'd survive. The police had acted quickly. The Civil Affairs Bureau's cameras caught the attack, and a staff member relayed my statement about Clara's involvement. They arrested her that day, finding texts on her phone planning the attack with Ryan. He'd fled, but was caught a week later on a smuggler's boat, trying to escape to Canada. In court, they turned on each other. Ryan claiming Clara had manipulated him, Clara insisting she was just following his lead. But the evidence was undeniable. Ryan had planned the attack, and Clara had agreed to lure me outside, He was sentenced to life for attempted murder. She got 12 years as an accomplice. Clara's parents came to the hospital, their faces drawn, carrying a basket of fruit as a feeble peace offering. Her mother, a woman who'd once pressured me for loans, sat by my bed. "Ethan, can't you let this go? You and Mia were married for 3 years. Surely you can forgive a mistake." "Mistake?" I said, my voice hoarse but firm. I was stabbed, nearly killed. If someone did this to Clara, would you call it a mistake? Her mother faltered, mumbling about Clara being misled by Ryan. Sophie, who'd stayed by my side, had enough. "He needs rest," she said, standing. "Leave or I'll call security." She ushered them out, her protectiveness a quiet strength I hadn't realized I needed. A week later, I was discharged, my arm in a sling, but my spirit lighter. Sophie and I were building something real, untainted by the lies of my past. We took things slow, sharing coffee dates and long walks along the harbor, talking about everything and nothing. I'd survived Clara's betrayal, Ryan's blade, and my own blindness. Life was open again, full of possibility. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to support the channel. Your support helps me share more stories like Ethan's, tales of resilience and redemption. Thanks for reading, and I'll see you in the next one.